So Maggie's gone.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And
apparently
Jesus,
Michonne didn't know.
And Jesus, she was. The look on her face. Michonne is really. I love it. I'm actually really digging this new half of the season because Michonne is front and center again. It's like, get Rick out of the way, but no, I'm just kidding. No, like it was just. It's nice because Michonne you get to see her turmoil and all the things. She's really become the.
She's a central character.
She could easily, she could easily be. Go ahead.
No, just from what we've seen so far in these last 2 episodes that have jumped into the future since Rick's been gone, she pretty much has become what I see as the central character. It's still an ensemble piece, but there's always got to be that character that it kind of defaults to as the main protagonist. And maybe the real reason why Rick left was because he had nobody. He didn't have Carl around anymore to go, Carl.
Yeah, no. So they just had a barely a re-election of Jesus. So Jesus just barely got reelected. He does not want to. He does not want. It's a classic moment. It's like the leader who's forced to lead really doesn't want to lead because he feels like he's being bogged down. He wants to go out crazy. And this episode for some reason did remind me of the first time we met Jesus when that had that epic. Running with the truck. There was a truck full of food that they were fighting over with. Anyway, at that time, when we first met Jesus, he was a bastard. I don't know. I
didn't trust him, but I thought he was kind of cool. But I like that scene where he's riding on his horse and what's his name jumps right out and tackles him.
Yeah, that was great.
Fighting. That was a lot of Aaron. When Aaron tackles him out of the blue, and I knew it wasn't a zombie attack or a walker or muncher attack because we don't use the Z word. In this world, but we're not using the Z word. Right. But I thought that was actually a really amusing, kind of heartwarming moment.
Well, what does he say? He says, rule number 1, always be mindful of your surroundings. And he's like, no, rule number 1 is don't forget to look up. And then it's just so that was a kind of a cool bond. I like these bonding moments where Aaron's been through a hell of a lot. I mean, he's got a really
badass arm.
I mean, he's got an Evil Dead arm now.
Yeah.
So
it's much cooler than Michael Rooker's character, Daryl's brother. We'll edit that.
Merle.
Aaron's arm is much cooler than Merle's. I'm just gonna have to say, I liked his sort of Ash Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, arm.
We haven't seen it in action yet. We haven't seen it if it actually moves. Does it have an actual? Yeah, it just doesn't seem. It's
slightly bigger too than a normal hand.
Its functionality is more that of Jamie Lannister than
Baby Buster on Arrested Development with the big. Oh, that would have been awesome if he'd had that big hand that Baby Buster has on Arrested Development. If any of you watch Arrested Development.
So what do you think drove off Maggie? What do you think? Why do you think Maggie's actually gone? Is there a specific reason? I mean, I think maybe she's just thinking. I mean, that Rick's gone. I mean, because one of the biggest parts of this episode that was actually really cool to me that sold me on this episode and what they're doing now is the fact that Daryl, I mean, he says specifically to Carol, he says right away, he says, I know you think I'm still looking for him. So obviously because of that last season with Rick in it, I mean, Daryl just walks off and is like, the first thing I thought was like, Daryl would not be walking off. He would be going through that pile of zombies in the water and looking for Rick.
But he said that in the dialogue. He never found a body. So you have to assume he spent a long time looking for that body. That's
what I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
I'm pointing out that in that last episode that they didn't show that, and now that he has been looking for him, obviously. Yeah. It's just that my beef is the fact that, I mean, I realized that they had to, in order to allow Rick to get away, they had to have Daryl walk away, but my personal opinion is that Daryl's character would not have even walked away. He would have just dove into those and looked for him immediately. And I mean, I get it. It is what it is. It just worked. It worked the way it worked. But so that's the thing that that's the part that I really loved about this episode.
But we didn't see the immediate. I mean, we saw the immediate aftermath, but we didn't see the aftermath. Maybe after a little bit of grief time, he probably did wade through those waters. I could see him being distraught over losing Rick enough to sort of walk away from the group eventually. Yeah. But he's coming back, so you know what I mean. But let's be honest. Daryl and Carol and several of these characters have walked away from the group, gone their own way, and then eventually found their way back. It is one of the sort of cliches within this show, and I don't.
That's right.
I don't mean cliche as a negative thing. I'm just saying within the context of
it's
it's
reoccurring.
It's a reoccurring thing. That's a better thing. I shouldn't say cliche. For this show, it's a reoccurring theme to have characters come and go, and have characters that you love go through these crisis points. They have to sort of do a walkabout and find themselves and isolate themselves. Morgan did it even after he had joined the group, and then he had to leave.